Hi everybody, this is Mike. In this video, we're going to practice listening comprehension skills. Hola a todos, en este video vamos a practicar nuestras habilidades de comprensión de escucha. Este es el primero de una serie de videos en la cual vamos a practicar escucha. Es una serie de videos bien interesante porque es una charla que tuve con un amigo y ex compañero de la universidad. Él habla 3 idiomas, siendo inglés uno de ellos, y hemos tenido una charla durante la cual hablamos de muchas cosas y la charla ha sido en inglés. Así que este es el primero de una serie de esos videos. He partido la charla en 3 videos cortos para que practiquemos y no nos cansemos mucho. Debido a que es una charla de casi una hora, son 45 minutos, entonces lo he separado en pedazos aproximadamente de 15 minutos. En esta serie de videos quiero que tengan en cuenta lo siguiente. Nosotros no somos hablantes nativos, ninguno de los dos. Así que es importante tener en cuenta que el proceso nos muestra 3 puntos básicos. El primero, debemos dejar el miedo a hablar. Definitivamente debemos dejar el miedo a hablar, sea con quien vayamos a hablar, porque si no, nunca vamos a empezar. Segundo, perfect kills good. Quiere decir, no nos enfoquemos en ser perfectos en lo que digamos. Enfoquémonos en comunicarnos y a medida que vamos cometiendo errores, vamos a caer en cuenta de ello. Ya sea porque nosotros nos damos cuenta o porque otras personas nos van a corregir, pero no nos preocupemos tanto por eso. Enfoquémonos más en nuestro deseo de comunicarnos. Y tercero, no nos preocupemos por hacer sonidos perfectos. El acento no importa, la pronunciación sí, pero el acento no importa. Así que tengamos en cuenta esto mientras estudiamos y analizamos estas conversaciones y espero que le puedan sacar provecho. Así que empecemos con la primera parte de estos videos. Today we are here with my friend Camilo. His full name is Camilo Ernesto Morales Barbosa. He's an electronic engineer, graduated from Universidad Francisco José de Calda in Colombia. He currently works for Ericsson as sales director, application innovation, IoT, which would be the Internet of Things, right? If I'm not mistaken, since 1995. Is that right?
1997, actually.
1997, okay. He also works supporting and developing new business models, endeavors with new entrepreneurs, and he currently lives in the Netherlands. I think that's from since 2005.
20. Yeah, I live here since 2003, actually.
Oh, 2003. Okay, I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of mistaken with my numbers, but anyways, nonetheless, we met back in the 90s in college, and welcome Camilo here once again. It's a pleasure to have you here. We made a video the other day about, well, in which we spoke basically in Spanish, but today we're going to have some fun speaking in English. And how's everything going, Camilo?
Very good. Thanks for asking, Miguel. So I'm, as I said to you when you made the post in Facebook, it's my pleasure to help you and to give a little bit of a contribution, no, for people who are willing to learn English. Spanish-speaking people mainly, right?
Yeah, this is something very interesting because one of the most difficult parts for people to deal with is the fact of facing speaking. Speaking
Yeah.
is one of the most terrible things that they have to face through this learning process, and mostly because of the fear of speaking, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of feeling silly and maybe being judged. What do you think about that, Camilo?
I think that is how to call it. That's like a paradigm, right? One of those wrong understandings of the way things really work. Because when you really dare to speak a language, then that will immediately open you many doors. And even if you make some mistakes at the beginning, just listening and just interacting with people who are also speaking the language you want to learn, then you will get many more things that anything that you have ever read in a book, or that you have listened in a song, on those kind of things, because the interaction is what makes the language actually rich, because there is when you really need to produce something to answer to a question from someone, or simply to tell something to one person, right?
Yeah, and something interesting and funny that I've noticed ever since I've been teaching is that uh, here Latin American people is so afraid of taking that step. And funny thing, when you talk to people who's not from Latin America, English speakers mostly, they are so willing and eager to go and start talking, no matter how many mistakes they make. What do you think that's the reason why?
I think again, it's like to some extent is what we have learned in the past, mainly when we were children, right? That it might be that we were taught that the only way to make ourselves being understood is when we speak fluently and with the right accent. But that is simply not the reality. The, we know that as long as you start speaking, then you will make yourself being understood. And the thing is that you can also make gestures. You can also you won't be just thrown up on a podium where everyone will look at you. You will start interacting on a one-on-one with someone, and that simply push you to have to break the ice. So then you say, okay, yeah, I have to start saying something. And yeah, it's actually a little bit of a pity, right? That in Latin America, for example, in the past, we were always getting the movies translated, or the series, the soap operas translated. So then we never had a chance, unless we were going to the cinema, right? But we never had a chance to really listen the real audio, and to read, no, what was the meaning of those words that we were listening. But that is not an issue anymore. You can simply take a look to a video in YouTube, and you can, or in Netflix, or in one of those networks, and you can simply turn on the closed caption in some cases, if you want to listen the translation of what is being spoken. Or you can select, no, a language for the audio, and another language for the subtitles, right?
Amazing. I'm sorry, amazing tools. What you were saying reminded me of, I don't know if you remember, back in the 90s there was a movie with Antonio Banderas. It was called The 13th Warrior, and it was a Spaniard guy who was caught by Vikings, and he learned the how to speak Viking just by watching and listening. That was, I was watching that movie and I was, how the heck this is gonna work? This is so silly, but it's so true. It's so freaking true, and it's so amazing. But anyways, we had the opportunity to talk about language and learning skills, blah blah blah. The other video, I don't want to spend the precious time we have on this video talking about language. Why don't we talk a little bit about ourselves? We met back in the 90s. It was so interesting because uh, the three of you caught my attention once you got to the classroom, because it was Ricardo, Diana, and you were so young and so freaking smart. I remember I was kind of like the teacher's pet back in school, and I was like the nerd guy back in school. But after that, I didn't want to feel like that, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why when we met, you got me with long hair, the badass attitude, and blah blah blah. So I have very fun memories, very fun memories from college. What is your favorite memory from college back then?
I think that there are so many memories, Miguel. And the funny thing is that we were, maybe not everyone knows, right? But we were studying on a public university.
Yeah,
And
yep.
you have no clue how grateful I'm with that thing, because then I got to know that actually the people who were studying at the university, who were coming from Bogota, from the capital, right, from the
Yep.
city where
Yeah.
the university was the actual minority. Majority of the people, majority of the students,
From out of the
they were
city.
from abroad. Exactly, they
Yeah.
were from the country, from let's say not from Bogota, from the
Yep.
countryside, no, from the other cities, right? So including
A lot of
myself, right?
costeños. A lot of costeños. Bogota is filled with costeños. It's funny. Yeah. I was one of them because luckily my mom was a teacher, and because of that I got free education. I only
Very
had back then. I only had to pay in a semester. I had to pay only the maybe a bus fare, maybe 500 pesos. That was it, and
yeah,
that was so
yeah,
amazing. That was so amazing. That was yeah.
yeah,
That's an
yeah.
interesting point.
Yeah, exactly. But then and that meant the fact that there were people from all over the country then meant that you could see so many different personalities, so many different backgrounds. And I remember so well you, and I think I told you, right, with your shares of suicidal tendencies and those kind of things. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's basically the same.
There they are.
30,
And
30, 33 years ago, basically the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, no? That you see that that experience is something that you can compare to nothing, because it's simply makes you so rich in the sense that you are learning about how many different personalities, backgrounds, ways of doing things, ways of speaking, kinds of food that people are eating, etc. And that's something that you can hardly will find on a private university. I can tell you because my brother and my sister, the two of them went to private universities, right?
Oh, really? Which one?
And
Which
they
one, if I may ask?
my brother went to Andes, and my
Okay.
sister, she's a medical doctor, so she went
Okay.
to Corpus University.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then yeah,
It's a whole
the two of
different
them,
environment.
of course,
Yeah.
really, Miguel, I can tell you, at the university, I was living in the south of Bogota, and you know that the south of Bogota is not the rich part of the
Not
country,
really.
of the
Not
city,
really.
right? So then
Can,
but
can
at
I
the,
ask you which neighborhood?
yeah, it's called Milenta.
Oh,
It's
Milenta.
not that
It
south,
rings a,
but
it
it's
rings a bell. It rings a bell. I
mm,
I went pretty much everywhere in Bogota back then. It rings a bell, but I'm not quite sure where exactly it was. But anyways,
mhm, mhm.
Milenta. Yeah, yeah, it rings
Yeah,
a bell.
yeah, exactly. But the feeling that I got back then was that I was kind of a kind of a rich guy in the university, Miguel, in our public university, you
Yep,
know.
yep.
And it was actually the opposite. Now with the time, I have also heard the stories from my brother and my sister, from my siblings, right? And they say that for them, to some extent, was actually the opposite. Hmm?
Oh,
So then you
okay.
can see
Okay.
how the same family we
Yeah.
can have
You
three
went,
different
of course,
different experiences.
you went through different experiences altogether. That's interesting.
Yes.
Perfecto, espero que esto haya sido de utilidad para ustedes, que le hayan sacado provecho. Si necesitan repetir el material, repítanlo cuantas veces necesiten para revisar, practicar, mirar cositas. Si tienen dudas, me dejan un mensaje y yo estaré respondiendo en el menor tiempo posible. Si les ha gustado este video, recuerden darle like, compartir con sus amigos y si aún no lo han hecho, suscríbanse al canal, denle click a la campanita y de esa manera van a estar al día con los contenidos que estoy publicando constantemente. También les va a permitir poder participar en el chat en vivo, en las clases en vivo. Cada transmisión que haya en vivo solamente está disponible el chat para los suscriptores. Y de paso nos siguen apoyando con el crecimiento del canal. También recuerden que hay un sistema de membresías. De paso agradezco y saludo a las personas que ya están apoyándonos como miembros. Un abrazo muy especial y muchas gracias por ese apoyo. Y si quieren ustedes, si no lo han hecho, ustedes quieren participar, hay 3 niveles diferentes de membresías, lo cual les va a dar acceso a algunas cositas adicionales que yo pongo exclusivamente para ustedes en agradecimiento por ese apoyo. Así que muchas gracias por el apoyo que están mostrando. También a quienes dan like, eso es una manera también de apoyarnos, volviéndose suscriptores, todo esto ayuda y da ánimo para seguir trayendo contenidos de calidad a ustedes. Así que recuerden que yo disfruto mucho este proceso, es algo que disfruto mucho, compartir todas estas cosas. Recuerden que hay un canal que he creado para enseñar español angloparlante, se llama Spanish with Mike. Todos los videos que pongo ahí son en inglés, así que pueden ir también suscribirse y mirar esos videos para practicar sus habilidades de escucha y sigan aprendiendo, sigan estudiando. La perseverancia, la constancia, la dedicación y la disciplina son las claves para aprender cualquier cosa, en este caso un segundo idioma. Así que espero verlos pronto en otro video y nos vemos, cuídense, sigan estudiando, bye bye.